6:07. I think it's a good time to get going. Anybody else say that they're going to be coming? Michael's absent. And Teresa, we haven't. All right. So, what do we have on the agenda here? Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming in for our March 20th board meeting. I guess we can do a roll call. Gregory Nato?
Here.
We have Christina Amato. Yeah, Christina Amato.
Here.
Robin Jania Pearson. And
Here.
And we have Adam Pollock.
Here.
And we have are missing a few. So roll call.
Yep, we're just missing Michael Kelly and Teresa Priester so far.
Okay. So proof of notice of the meeting was sent out, and so we're gonna need the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. I'm gonna need somebody to.
I move that we approve the minutes from last meeting.
Okay. I need a second.
I'll second it.
So Gregory now
I'll
was the
second it.
first one.
Yanni Pearson.
Second was Johnny Appreciate. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Abstain? Opposed? Okay. So do we have a report from the treasurer?
I'll say it. I'll just So before Adam gives his treasurer's report, as I mentioned to you all in an email before, I've given you 3 treasurer's reports that are in your hand right now. The one with the X on it is the one that you guys approved last meeting. However, I noticed that it was missing just because of a printing error, that it was missing the applications funds, the lesser tenant account, the labor monitoring account, and the money market account. So I have included the correct treasurer's report for February, and then you have the one for March. So I will need you to reapprove.
So do the same thing for February and March?
And March. I'll need you to do both.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So having had that preamble, we'll go through the revised version of the treasurer's report from the February 2023 meeting. Now that this amended report states that the opening balance in the operating account was $4,238,254.38, with a total deposits made during the month of $13,137.56. Total checks and other transfers going out during the month totaled $124,753.05. Bringing a closing balance on that account of $4,126,638 over 89 cents. The payroll account began with an opening balance of $11,004.90 and closed with a balance of $123,950.35. The most noteworthy deposit being the money that was transferred from operations to fund the payroll department, and that was in the amount of $120,000 even. The applications fund began and ended with the same balance, $14,137.50. The lesser tenant account began and ended with the same balance, $2,400 even. The labor monitoring account began with an amount of $14,985 and closed with a balance of $15,000 even. There was $15 transferred in. The money market account began with a balance of $754,493.60. There was an interest credit in the amount of $1,415.97, bringing the closing balance to $755,909.57. So that is the amended treasurer's report for the February meeting, and I'll hear a motion to accept. Yes.
What exactly is the labor monitoring account? Where do those funds come from?
So that's the money that we put into an escrow account that comes from the hotel project. We engage Loki Brill. You've engaged them before. And that money is like the estimate amount of, based on the size of the project, how much we would have to pay the labor monitor. So we put that in an account, that way they know they're gonna get that money, even though when that project is completed, right, the applicant pays that back, right? So the project will pay that back, but we put that in an account so that they know they're gonna get paid.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions or comments?
This is just for the last month, for February?
Right, yeah, this is the set of, this was the treasurer's report of last meeting that we've revised
Yeah.
tonight.
So I just got a question for the interest. Yes, sorry about that. So for the interest credit,
Under the money market account?
yeah, do we know
For this month?
for the month of
Last meeting.
February?
Yeah.
Are we there yet? Am I going ahead on this?
Yeah, 'cause
I am, yeah. But still, okay, all right. Okay.
Are you referring to the 1,415.97?
Yeah,
that's
but
the
I
one we
might
just
be
read
already on
through.
the next one. Because I was just
Oh, you're
curious.
at the, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That makes sense on that one. Yeah, come to that one next.
Okay. I see that. All right.
So we have to vote on this one separately than the next one.
Yeah, we'll do this voting, and then we'll move to the one that was earmarked for tonight, and then we'll read and approve that one. So, any motion to approve the amended version of the treasurer's report?
I move to approve the amended February report, right?
That's correct.
I'll second Chrissy Amato,
So Johnny
Christina
and-
Amato.
Christina. Yeah.
So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, it carries. So, I'll move on to the treasurer's report for tonight's meeting. Oh, I didn't do the bills yet, you're right.
Can I just ask before we get to
Yeah.
this, well, you want to do the bills before we do the treasurer's report? I have a question on the treasurer's report, too.
Of the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll approve. I'll entertain a motion to approve the paying our bills this month.
I so move to pay our bills this month, to make a motion to pay our bills this month. Chrissy Amato.
Yanni Pearson, second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right. Chrissy, did you have a question before I read?
Yeah, so I noticed some of our cell phone contracts don't have any revenue or deposits this month. Are the contracts over, these ones? No.
Tell her what happened. Do you want to tell her why there's no deposits for,
There's
For
the
T-Mobile
T-Mobile
and
and
Dish.
Dish Network for this month.
talk in the mic. Just press the button. Yeah.
I think we made the deposit pretty late in the month.
Oh, okay.
So you're asking, there's something missing, is what you're saying?
I just wasn't sure, in our regular deposits, there's normally, like this month's total deposits are sort of a fraction of what last month's were, and I just wasn't sure if
Right, well, you'll see that in March,
it'll catch up.
right, they'll be almost double.
Okay.
It was just the way we received the checks and deposited them. But I check that, I make sure we get what we're supposed to every month.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's a timing
One thing
issue.
I just want to point out to Adam before he reads the report.
Sure.
So there was this transfer.
Yes, that's right.
And it still says 4 million here, so it should be minus that 4 million.
Right, because it was transferred out to the money market account.
Go over that, and then in the money market
So, yeah, so this is the actual amount, just to take that off,
Yeah,
16.
I'll have her
Yep.
mention it, and then in the money market account here, it's only 700,000, even though the 4 million.
I see it, yeah, thanks for, yeah, I'll call it out, and then we can do it on the back end, right? We can amend it?
You should approve it with the necessary changes, so we should
Yeah.
say what the changes are, but then I'll let Michelle.
That's right.
So let me just let her, before you start getting into it, because then we'll have questions. So Michelle, if you just look at the treasurer's report from March, if you see the disbursements, the transfer into the money market account for 4
Yep,
million.
just one sec. Okay, money market, okay.
Sorry, no, and I'm sorry, in the operating account, so in the other page you were on, yeah. So you see that there's a transfer for 4 million there? Mm-hmm. But it still says 4 million in the balance?
Transfer, it was taken out of the operating, so it should be deducted.
So it counts as a check? I guess that's why you listed it that way?
Yeah, I mean, and I put transfer next to it.
Okay, so when you turn the page to the back, when you look at the total balance for the money market account, it still stays as, like, you show that the transfer in is 4 million, but the balance is still 700,000.
Okay, I see exactly what went on.
So how it should read then, I guess, I see what you were doing here, that there was 4 million in checks, and that's why, but not really checks, it's a transfer. So then really the only amount that needs to, that one is fine. The one that really needs to change then is this one, because it's 4,758,000, if you get what I'm, you get what I'm? You follow? Okay. So before you started it, we can now go through it all together, and then if you have
I'll read the
questions-
correct numbers,
Okay.
and then we can fix it after.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Chair. So the, tonight's treasurer's report for the March 20th, 2023 meeting. Having said that, you know, we have some adjustments that we'll make on the supporting documents, and we'll do that in the back end. But when we go through it, we'll approve the real numbers. So the opening balance in the operating account on February 1st was $4,126,639.89. During the course of the month, there were deposits totaling $5,921.84. And then there were disbursements made, bringing the, which included a large transfer of $4 million to the money marketing account, bringing the total balance at the end of the month to $16,173.85. Is that right?
So this, sorry.
I included it because I thought, you know, one day someone might ask, well, why doesn't the QuickBooks balance match the bank statement balance? You know, why don't they all match? Because of outstanding checks. It's just to be a little bit more transparent. You're welcome.
Okay, so the total checks during the course of the month, including the large transfer of the Sorry, that was off. The payroll account began with an opening balance of $123,950.35 and closed with a balance of $116,241.15. The applications fund began and ended with a balance of $14,000, $137.50. The lesser tenant account began and ended with a balance of $2,400. The labor monitoring account also began and ended with a balance of $15,000, and then the money market account began with an opening balance of $755,909.57. During the course of the month, we received that $4 million transfer from the operating account, in addition to interest credits in the amount of $3,021.04, bringing the closing balance to $4,758,930.61 in the money market. That sound about right? That's good?
You have to add the 3,021 to it, so I think it's 4 million.
So,
56, 30, 61, is that right?
I think I think it was added, right? 755 plus 3,000 makes it 758? Yeah. Yeah, so we're just missing that 4 million, I think. So closing balance again in the money market's $4,758,930.61. So
Yes, that's correct.
nice balance in the money market. Okay, so any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll hear a motion to approve the treasurer's report for March.
I move that we approve the treasurer's report for March. Gregory Nato.
Do we hear a second?
I will second. Christina Amato?
Okay, all those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Oh, and then the motion, and then with that in mind, I'll entertain a motion to pay our bills for this month, for March. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we pay the bills for March. Gregory Nato.
Johnny Yas seconds the motion.
Excellent. All those in favor of paying our bills for the month of March, say aye.
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 All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, so moving on to item number 5, there's the chairman's report. So I had the opportunity to sit into the first CDAC meeting. So I was officially invited sometime in early to mid-February and quickly met with Kathy. I can't not remember her last name. Kathy is the new chairperson of the CDAC. Bill Faravanti stepped down. He was for some time, but right now they're in transitioning where she's going to be, he's helping out, but still is Kathy at the moment. So there's a little bit of catching up to do for me, some of the stuff that they're working on. I still, obviously, me going in there with full intentions to keep fostering relationships, and then finding maybe synergy in the areas of their synergy between us and them, because, in some ways we kind of do some very, very similar work. So is everybody familiar with CDAC here? Mm-hmm. Okay, CDAC. So, essentially, it's a board that does kind of like part of what we do here, where they vet certain projects. City puts out RFPs, and they go through a vetting process, and then they make a suggestion to council after they've gone through a rigorous set of criterias and numbers that they weigh what's more impactful towards like a goal. So essentially, very similar to what we do. The difference is that we have the additional tools to give or provide pilots and stuff like that. So that's basically, in a nutshell, simplified, right? And me being the chairperson of the IDA, I automatically have a seat in CDAC, so that means that that I'm also going to be exposed to what's going on that end too. And like I said, so I'm always looking for ways to open lines of communication and just to make sure that if there's anything that the IDA can do, even though in some ways it is different, that we potentially could help. But anyways, there are things in the pipeline that they're working on, and full transparency, I'm not so caught up yet to know what is public and what is not. So I need to be more informed before I start sharing with the board, whatever it is. A lot of the stuff is pretty public. If it's an RFP, you can see that. But so the stuff that's maybe in the pipeline that they're going to be working in the near future, that's not so much. So.
Who sits on the CDAP right now?
Oh, it's like 12 people. I couldn't tell you all of them.
Okay.
It's like 10, 12 people. 10 people. So it's quite. And I haven't met everybody yet. Not everybody was able to attend the meeting. So that's the latest thing from me. I look forward to the next meeting and for me to maybe share a little bit more what's happening there. All right. Yeah. So, does anybody have any questions?
Do they have assets like we do?
So they'll work with what the city has.
Okay.
The economic development, what does it stand for? The City Economic Development Committee, CEDC?
Commission.
It's
Yeah.
just strategic. Yeah.
Sorry. My understanding is they're an advisory committee to help with economic development initiatives of the city, including disposition of city lands, which is so the city will say, okay, this parcel we would like to sell. They'll release an RFP through CDAC, and they have not a voting, grading criteria that they look at applicants. So like the parcel what was that, Montgomery Street that Ken Carney's group won, that went through the CDAC.
Colden Street.
Yeah, Colden Street. There are a few other parcels, I think, that big projects that will be coming up through. But they're not a separate state agency, like we're a separate chartered agency. This is like an advisory committee to advise or to do some of that legwork for the city council.
Yeah. So that's pretty much everything on my end. And I guess we could, unless anybody else has any further questions, we can move on to item number 6, council's report.
Thank you. I just have a few updates, and then I am going to make a request to consider going into executive session. Updates. Scobie Drive, the environmental document that Marlin signed last month, that has been submitted to DEC by the purchaser, and so hopefully there's some movement there between now and the end of June. Your contract currently is extended through the end of June, so it will have to be extended again, but hopefully by that point there'll be actually some movement and decisions by DEC on what needs to be cleaned up on that property. Just a brief update on the hotel project. I did receive a call from council telling me that they are still pursuing financing opportunities. They haven't actually concluded that initiative, and so, but he's optimistic that they will close on their financing and get started down the street in short order, hopefully in a couple of months. And then the executive director and I worked with your 3 most recent closed projects and made sure that they submitted their tax reports, sales tax reports that were required to be filed by the end of February, and all 3 of them have been filed. There is a real estate matter that I would like to discuss with the board, and I would recommend that we go into a very brief executive session if you guys would agree with that.
So I guess we just need a motion.
I'll move, we go into executive session.
I'll second.
And I'll leave.
Do we need all in favor? No?
Yes.
So all in favor to move towards executive, into executive session?
Aye.
Or do we need a roll call? No, right? Opposed, abstained, anybody opposing, anybody abstained?
Thank you.
And so, did we leave off on the council's report?
That was part of it.
That was-
So I just have one more thing to add. We did share, the executive director and I did attend the EDC meeting up in Albany. They had apparently their best attendance ever, which was great. So it was good to see everyone. A couple of sessions were really good. And, you know, they do have other sessions coming up that I know that the executive director will talk about. So if they're local and you guys can attend, I encourage you. There's always something that I think EDC does a great job. And so they work very hard, the executive director up there. Ryan works very hard to put together good programs. And so I always think you can learn something. So.
It was good to see how other cities are being innovative and forward-thinking, so
Right.
it's worth it.
And you're a member, so you should take advantage of it.
I thought one was coming up in April.
Yep.
Yes.
So there's a few people that are signed up already, right?
Is that the one? No, I signed up for the March one and then I was out of
Correct.
They do have a multi-day one up in Cooperstown that's usually well-attended because it's in Cooperstown. But it's a little bit, in the middle of nowhere, but where should you have a Hall of Fame that people want to visit that you can't get to? Put it in Cooperstown.
All right, so thank you for that. We can move on to item number 7, executive director's report.
So I do have the audit listed here. I just wanted to report to you all that the audit will be delayed due to review of agency contracts, but that there's no penalty to report late. So I'll keep you updated once I know of changes for that. Also wanted to update the board that we've already done 2 meetings, Marlon and Gregory, myself, with Ashworth Creative for the logo. We did 1 round where we spoke about like Newburgh and the history, and then from that, the second meeting that we had, she was able to come up with some concepts, and from there, we were all able to give feedback. So there'll be a 3rd round where I think it'll be formalized a little bit. I'm trying to figure out like how I keep you informed in that way, because right, we keep it to 2 board members so that 7 opinions can get kind of crazy. I'll try to figure out with them like when's the best point in time to like give you a sneak peek of what it is that they've come up with. But yeah, we keep it minimal like that so that doesn't get too crazy. So I think we'll have a new meeting probably coming up in the next week or 2. I also sent out the RFP for the banking, for agency banking. I put the end date sometime in April. A lot of interest, and I expect to receive quite a few replies when that is done. Some of them did reply that they're not allowed to, do our banking for us, and that's fine, but, I did try to pull a good list together. And then, the IDA Academy is April 11th, and Gregory and Marlon said that they would come, and I think the tickets are like 2 something, so just keep that in mind that, we pay for the tickets for you to come, so if that changes, it's a contribution to EDC. But, if anybody else is definitely like interested in attending that day, just let me know, because I'm going to ask them for the bill soon. Hyde Park. So, yeah, it doesn't really get much better than that, because I've been to one on Long Island. I'm sure there'll be one in the city one year.
Long Island is good.
Can't argue there. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. But no, just to keep in mind for the next one, that you guys know what that process is. And yeah, that's all I have for now.
All right, thank you so much. And we can move on to item number 8, new business. Yes, please.
Okay, so this resolution is to engage a sales tax monitor. As you know, in the past, I've brought this to your attention that I would like Low-Key Borough to monitor the sales tax for projects, and the thought behind what I got from you guys was that you preferred to not like spring that up on a project after we've already approved a pilot or whatever else. So this would allow for in the future, this has already been established, and then, or if we need to engage them for any other reason, we've already passed this, and it's not out of nowhere, because they do provide us other services that are in line with this monitoring. They do provide the labor monitoring. Anything else I should add?
No, the only other issue is that you don't have to do an RFP under your procurement policy because you're not paying their fee. The fee will be paid by the applicant. And so that it's just merely an expansion of scope of a consultant that's already been approved.
So just, and especially to give some context for like new board members, right? If somebody comes to us for benefits for a project, and one of those benefits is sales tax, they have to report on that money that they're saving on a project, and it has to be monitored. So really the best way to do it for this office, for our IDA, is really to hire it out to somebody else who does this all the time. So I'm just making sure that that's the way it would be set up in the future.
Yeah, this solves that initial reservation that we had. As long as we're being upfront at the beginning, and then they can account for it, and it still works in their numbers, then we're doing our job, they're doing theirs, they're getting...
And going forward, we would include
Right.
this in the approving resolution, that, Low-Key Borough will do the labor monitoring, and then they'll also do the sales tax monitoring.
Okay, so I guess I would need a motion for this resolution. And do you want to talk about the following resolution here before we...
We'll get there.
Okay, all right, so I need a motion for this one.
I move that we approve resolution number 2023-03-20-01.
I think we're going to need a roll call for this one, right?
Second.
Oh, we need a second.
No, go ahead.
Anthony, you haven't seconded anything.
I'll second this one. Adam Pollock.
Our roll call is Marlon Ramos,
Yes.
Christy D'Amato,
Yes.
Michael Kelly is absent, Adam Pollock,
Yes.
Gregory Nato,
Yes.
Teresa Priester,
Yes.
and Yanya Pearson.
Yes.
So just for the next one, which version am I looking at here? Oh, the letter of support for 104 Washington Street, we already discussed with Bob, and we basically,
Yeah, I mean, I think that you've already approved the project. I don't think you need a resolution to approve a letter in support. I think the executive director can draft up, once he determines who he needs the letter to go to. If the executive director wants to share that with you in advance, you can comment on it, but you've already taken the action of approving it. You're already in favor. There's no reason that you need to do a formal resolution. And this is kind of my fault. When the executive director approached me a couple of weeks ago, I said, yeah, let's do But the more I thought about it, it's just kind of silly to do that and unnecessary.
So, do we have any updates on this project?
104, no. But I can, you did mention that, I'm sorry, that slid through my mind, but we did talk about having Philippe come and giving an update. So what I can do is I can ask him for one and then share that with you guys.
So, could you, I just want to make sure I completely understand. So we definitely are not going to be, you believe that there's no need for us to write a letter?
No, I don't think you need a resolution,
We don't need a resolution?
because you've already approved the project.
That's my belief. That
Right.
that's the strongest form of
Exactly.
wording.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if they need some sort of letter, the letter should say very succinctly, the agency supports the project as stated in its approving resolution.
That's
And
as far as.
That's about it,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
I don't know what he's really looking for beyond that.
I don't
But
Does anybody know the Empire State Development Mid-Hudson Momentum Fund?
I think it's the minimum is 2.5, I think the max maybe 5. It's to help get certain projects that meet their criteria going. So I can definitely share that link with you to review.
Right.
And it says it's for projects that are shovel-ready. According to the notes, so this project is shovel-ready.
We need,
What does shovel-ready mean? I mean, I would probably look at their website to see how they define that, but he has an approved pilot. He tore the building down already, and
as his permits.
permits, yep. So,
so does he have anything financed?
Shovel-ready means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
yeah.
If you remember in 2009, there were a lot of shovel-ready projects that are still shovel-ready projects. So they're ready. But his is presumably as close as you can possibly get, you would think.
Do we know, does this, is this an additional, is this like an additional grant, or this is just an additional funding source for him, or for the project?
What's the difference between,
Well, is it like, is it,
A loan, or is it?
not a loan?
no, it's like a grant, like he's getting free money towards? Okay,
But most, as you know, most grants with the state are reimbursements. So he may, if he qualifies for this, then he can use that to go try and get other financing to pre-fund the grant and take it out. So there is a benefit to that. But
do you remember, did he get historic tax credits? He couldn't have gotten them with that site? No,
I don't know if he could get them, but he didn't get them yet.
he didn't, no.
No,
Well, I
the
don't think
only-
he could have, because he tore the building
The
down.
only building that you've been involved with tax credits is the
Yeah,
foundry,
Foundry, yeah.
and then I know they will
They will.
eventually close on tax credits.
I personally would like to get a more of an update from them. I want to hear, this is, to your point, Bob, the biggest form of support that we have is the approval of this thing. You know, asking us for a letter, I mean, who really needs a letter when we're putting our name on these resolutions, right? So, but for maybe for the success of their project, okay, I see, you know, we want to make sure that whatever we're approving also sees the day of the light, right? That gets done, so I'm all about that too. But, you know, whenever you really gonna be digging the shovel is like what I wanna know, you know, what's going on there. So, can we ask them to come and just, you know, give us timelines
I don't know what the deadline is for this letter. So, are you suggesting that you don't want to give him the letter until is an email suffice? Like,
This is pretty, if I'm the developer, this is actually pretty important. It could be a large assistance to the success of a project. So, I just think that I would like, maybe because we're not getting enough of an update or frequent, so we don't know, like, I'm trying to remember the last conversation that we had with them. And it was mainly that they were in conversations with the planning, I believe. It was like, that was, do you remember the last conversation we had with them? Like, I think they were stuck in that phase of talking with planning board or something like that. But, you know, are they solid on their finances? Have they identified, you know, how are they shopping, not shopping, but how are they looking for this type of things? And where are they in formalizing their funding? If you know, what's going on there? So these are the questions that I have that I would like to ask. And
okay, I'll
I
ask.
just think that, you know.
Does the funding reduce the need for Does the funding reduce the need for the pilot?
No, because this is like, I think
Something
this, yeah, property taxes and like construction,
Okay, okay.
yeah. So I'll ask, I'll send you, I think for time purposes, I'll send him an email. I'll send you what his response is, and then we'll take it from there.
And when did he ask for the letter?
Oh, like maybe 3. It was after our last board meeting, so that's why we're talking about it now. So it must have been like,
Early March.
yeah, it must have been a few weeks ago. Yes, I sent you all an email, I think, saying that he wished to have that.
I mean, but I think also too, you know, there are a few different things that we consider with this. I mean, IDAs are very public right now, and as Senator Skoufis came, you know, and was concerned about how many layers of different benefits are each of these projects getting in addition to getting pilots, which I think we're all very cognizant of. We're in a changing sort of environment, but like everyone has also said, we have given them the greatest endorsement by approving it. At that point, hopefully he is moving forward and doesn't continue. You know, we have a timeline of when this is actually, you know, going to happen. But that, you know, the letter can say that. I mean, you know, the letter can say, you know, we have approved the project. You know, we believe this is our greatest endorsement of the project, that we have given them their pilot, and leave it at that. I mean, I don't know that, you know, much more has to be stated as a letter of support.
Yeah, I mean, the city had a resolution up last week for doing this letter as well, and they're asking, I think, at least 2 other agencies, organizations, or what have you, for letters as well. So they're just trying to give the best submission as possible.
Well, that's all I have on my mind. All right, so, any old business?
What's the process now, since we've had the public hearing on 191? What's the process moving forward since we had the public hearing on 191 Washington? At some point, we vote on that, right? So,
You want to tell about secret?
So you can't have your approving resolution until there is a secret determination, so the State Environmental Quality Review Act. So the planning board has already established that they're lead agency on the project. You're an involved agency, and you can't have multiple secret determinations. It's one project. So the lead agency has You have to wait for them to make that determination.
Okay.
They will rule on that at or very near the time that they issue their permits or their approval for the project. So, once that approval gets done and once seeker is determined, then you'll do your seeker. You'll review what they've done, which is what the agency has done in the past, and then you can do your approving resolution once seeker is in place. But the applicant did call and say, well, why can't we do our own? You're not set up to do your own. You'd have to hire consultants, which they would have to pay for at $10,000, $15,000 to be able to do it. And B, it would be meaningless because there's already a lead agency involved. So there's really nothing that we can do at this point. And they understand that now, and I know that they're, well, at least the last conversation I had with Seisha was that they were moving forward with the planning board and getting their additional sources of funding in place. And I think it's just time at this point.
Seeker can take a while.
What's the likelihood of getting a seeker approved if you're waiting on financing that is dependent on whether or not you get the pilot?
That is part of where their catch-22 is, I think, and they're working their way through that. I think very telling on their side is that you had your deviation hearing.
Right.
You've had incredible amount of support for moving forward with the project. The minutes are available. The hearing is posted. The minutes of the public hearings are posted. He just has to proceed with the planning board,
Also,
getting those
that's-
approvals.
Seeker and their financing are kind of two separate processes. So Seeker looks at traffic and the wildlife and the views and the impacts and the noise and the impacts of the project as it relates to all of those agencies. But Seeker doesn't look at, is the project economically viable? Will the project happen? So they can get Seeker approval and have or not have financing. That's a separate, as long as they pay for the Seeker process, the many consultants that go into approving Seeker, that is separate of if the project goes forward. Although ultimately, as a developer, those two things, they want to happen at the city. They want to get Seeker approval and they want to get financing to actualize the project. But Seeker can get approved with them having no money.
Right.
Okay.
And if Christine is absolutely correct. I mean, if that's your question.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the larger
Seeker
picture.
just looks at the narrow question of is there any environmental significance caused by this project?
Okay.
And if the answer is yes, that's still okay. The next question is there any way to mitigate that environmental significance? And if the answer is no, that's still okay. You can still approve. Seeker only requires the agency, the public body, to take a hard look at the environmental impact that the project could have.
Yeah.
There's no requirement to mitigate. There's no requirement to do anything other than that hard look.
Well,
It's
and
rare.
generally,
It's rare that a community would not, if they find environmental significance, it would be rare for them not to have some mitigation. So if there's traffic, you put in some stoplights, you put in some traffic bumps, you put in other types of noise control, air control, lighting control. There's been great improvements in the last 20 years on those types of issues. But Seeker in and of itself just says, take a hard look. Is there any environmental impact? Is it significant? Is it not significant? Is there any mitigation?
Yeah. Well, I imagine when it comes to vote for us, we'll be interested in that Seeker as well.
Right. You can't make a final decision, without making a Seeker determination first, because you're still covered. So all of your decisions that we've been involved with over the last several years rely on the planning, what the planning board has done. The only project that you didn't do that was for the foundry, and what we helped base the decision for you on that was the prior seeker from 20 years ago, and the fact that it's work that's being done within a structure that's already been approved.
The impacts were already analyzed, were already
Right.
determined.
Right.
And generally, at the end of a seeker, at the end of that process, it also generally requires that you come up with 3 or 4 alternatives. So if there are no impacts, this is the project we're moving forward with. But if there are impacts, we could do this. We could make the building shorter. We could make the, traffic light. We could make, there are various things that, as the lead agency, when they do a final determination, would say, this is what you have to mitigate, or this is the option, option that you need to go for.
Got it. Thank you.
And you really want that at by the permitting agency, because they're the ones that are, and at least they have the grand scheme of how the development and what the zoning is and what the economic development plan for the city is.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you for that in-depth
Educational.
your insight. So I think we were in old business, item number 9. Is there anything? Okay, no? All right. So, thank you, everybody, for coming in today, and we just need a last motion for adjournment.
Teresa, you want to move? No.
Make the move to
I'll
adjourn.
move that we adjourn the meeting.
I need a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain?
Meeting has ended.
And meeting ended. And I need to sign some stuff, don't I?